dear friends, welcome to Dev's session. The session for today, which I have brought for you, is a descriptive note on the different types of companies on the basis of their formation. The youth mass of today, who are more fascinated of being an entrepreneur, a business owner, is too much confused on the concept of companies. It is therefore this audio note is going to clear up those confusions within their minds. Well, companies on the basis of their formation are divided into three categories. The first one among them is on the basis of incorporation, the second one is on the basis of liability, and the third one is on the basis of control. Now let us know what are the different variants of the companies which are formed under incorporation. The first variant of the companies under incorporation is the charter company. The second variant is the statutory company, and the third variant is the registered company. Now let us know which are called as the charter companies. So in the primitive days, in olden times, these are the companies which are formed by kings and queens by passing a charter. Like for example, East India Company comes under the purview of the charter companies. Coming next to the statutory company. These are the companies which are formed by passing an act in the parliament. Like for example, Life Insurance Corporation of India passed by an act of 1956 is an example to the statutory company. Now my dear friends, the last variant of the companies formed under incorporation is the registered company, which comes under section 2 of subsection 20 under the Indian Companies Act 1956 and the recent amendment to it 2013. So all those companies which are formed under the Act of 1956 and 2013 are coming under the registered companies by the Act, what it says. But for that reason, it doesn't make any sense that those companies which are registered prior to 1956 are not coming under the Companies Act. It is not like that. Those companies which have been registered under the Indian Companies Act 1882, which is the old Act of Indian Companies Act, those companies are also treated and considered under the purview of the registered companies. So, what we can say, those companies which are registered under the Indian Companies Act either in 1882 or 1956 or 2013, the recent amendment, are coming under the purview of registered companies. Now, let us have a highlight on the companies which are formed on the basis of liability. So, there are two variants coming under this category of liability. The first variant is unlimited liability company and limited liability company. Now coming first to the unlimited liability company, which is coming under the section 2 of subsection 92 of the Indian Companies Act. These are the companies wherein liability of the members are unlimited, including their personal assets as well. It may have a share capital or may not have a share capital too. On to a clarification to the name itself, unlimited. That means those members who are going to be a part of the unlimited company, their liability towards the company is not limited to a fixed extent. Rather, it has been stretched to their personal asset as well. The second variant under the liability is the limited liability company, which is further divided into two categories, that is, limited by guarantee under section 2 of subsection 21 of the Indian Companies Act and limited by share capital under section 2 of subsection 22 of the Indian Companies Act. So, first of all, let us see what are the companies which are coming under the category of limited by guarantee. These are the companies wherein member gives a guarantee of a fixed amount as paid liability only in case the company goes to a wind up process, and in no other case until the lifetime they are liable to pay a single amount. Let us take an example and make you more clear about it. Like, for example, a member who joins, that is limited by guarantee, gives an undertaking or makes an agreement that I would be liable only up to a fixed amount of rupees 2 lakh in case the company goes to a wind up process. That means when the company goes to the wind up process, that particular member is liable to pay only rupees 2 lakh. The second variant of the limited liability company, that is limited by share capital under section 2 of subsection 22 of Indian Companies Act, is further divided into two categories: private company and public company. Now let us know what are the companies which are coming under the categories of a private company. So dear friends, in a private company there are three clauses, and these are the most important clauses for being a private company, termed as R, L and P. Now let us see what is R. R stands for restriction, L for limitation and P for prohibition. So let us know first of all what is the restriction of a member joining a private company. A shareholder or a member of a private company cannot share their shares to outsiders. This is the restriction part of it. The limitation part of it is that there are limitation of members in a private company, such like the minimum number of members may be 2 and the maximum number of members may exceed up to 200, not less than, not more than that. And the prohibition part of this private company comes like this, that while accounting for the total number of members in a private company, the past and the present members are not to be counted. Again, the joint members are to be counted as single members. There is an important thing in this private company is that it cannot bring public issues. And there was a fixed minimum paid up capital to start a private company, and that amount was fixed as rupees 1 lakh. But now in the recent amendments of 2015 there is no such mention to a minimum amount of paid up capital. That means there is no mention to rupees 1 lakh in the recent amendments of 2015. The second variant of limited by share capital companies, that is the public company, coming under section 2 of subsection 71 of Indian Companies Act. The minimum number of members for this sort of public companies is 7 and the maximum number of members are unlimited. In early days, the minimum paid up capital for a public company was fixed as rupees 5 lakh. But in the recent amendment of 2015, there is no mention about it. The basic difference between a private company and a public company is that a public company can bring public issues, whereas a private company cannot bring the public issues. The second difference between a private and a public company is that a public company has to do more comprise work in comparison to a private company. Now, public company is again subdivided as unlisted public companies and listed public companies. Lastly, on the basis of control, there are three different types of companies. That is, government company under section 2, subsection 45 of Indian Companies Act, holding companies under Section 2, subsection 46 of Indian Companies Act, and associate company under Section 2, subsection 6 of Indian Companies Act. The first one, that is government companies under Section 2 of subsection 45 of Indian Companies Act. Those companies which are formed under the guidelines, surveillance and control of central government, state government or both central and state governments with a minimum 51% of shareholding capacity. Those companies are called as the government companies. Subsidiary companies under a government company is also called as a government company. Let us now know what are holding companies under Section 2, subsection 46 of the Indian Companies Act. So, those companies who controls over the subsidiary companies are called as the holding companies. Holding companies have more than half of the share capital of the subsidiary company. A holding company has a control over the composition of board of directors of a subsidiary company. That is, it can appoint the majority of the directors of a subsidiary company. Further, the company which is subsidiary to a subsidiary company is also called as a subsidiary company to the holding company. Now, the majority of the decisions of a subsidiary company is also taken by the holding company. With all these descriptions, we are talking a lot about subsidiary company. So a description of it is written in section 2, subsection 87 of the Indian Companies Act. The last type of company under control is associate company under section 2 of subsection 6. So these are the companies on which you have a significant influence over the other company. Now let us know what is called as a significant influence. Significant influence means if a company have at least 20% of the share as a minimum share capital and under 50% of the share as a maximum share capital. It should not exceed in any case more than 50% of the share. Otherwise, that type of companies would again come under holding companies, because holding companies have a share capital more than 50% of the share, and those companies which are having less than 50% of the share, ranging from 20% to 50%, they are coming under the associate companies which have a significant influence over the other company. Well, with this I hope your concept about the different types of companies is clear by now. So in my next audio note, I will explain you about the proceedings to be followed in forming a company.